Marked. Reclaimed. Repurposed. The first 1% campus rises where the green school dream died. April 24, 2026. The campus that ate the school. Pirate first for MXTM. 2 weeks ago, we dropped the 1%.
Pirate First presents the 1% doctrine as an architectural and social
1%.
response to this collapse of
Not
the
a book. A blade. And now the first real target has surfaced in the jungle right where the brochures said the future would be. The cancelled campus. The ghost of green school in the manicured illusion of Selvazama. A school that never opened. A promise that already raised the land price. A perfect crime until the spell broke. 1. The dream that sold the land. Tulum has been selling a very specific hallucination. Learn in nature. Heal in the jungle. Profit from paradise. Wrap it in bamboo geometry and call it regenerative. The school was never just a school. It was an anchor, an emotional one. Parents don't buy condos. They buy a future for their children. So you give them a campus. Or at least, the idea of one. Then you cancel it. No riots. No refunds of belief. Just a quiet post and a new brochure. 2. The 1% was written for this. If you read the 1% carefully, and most didn't, you already saw this coming. The thesis was simple. 1% of real output sustains 99% of perceived value. Tulum inverted that equation. It tried to run on 99% narrative, 1% infrastructure. And the system choked. Because land doesn't eat dreams. It eats cash flow. 3. The Dreamcatcher Protocol. This is where things change. We introduced the Dreamcatcher in the book not as mysticism, but as a filter. Every dream must pass through a mesh of reality before it is allowed to scale. No mesh? You don't have a dream. You have a liability. The mesh, validation layers. A project must survive. Economic gravity, does it generate revenue without belief? Operational continuity, does it still function when the founders disappear? Local integration, does it feed the place or just extract from it? Infrastructure truth, can it survive power cuts, water stress, chaos? Time exposure, does it improve after 12 months or decay? The school failed before it was built. It never passed the mesh. 4. Dream validation is now a weapon. Here's the shift. Before, dreams were marketing tools. Now, dreams must be validated systems. The Dreamcatcher doesn't kill ambition. It forces it to become real. If your idea can't survive contact with money, time, friction, then it doesn't deserve land. 5. The campus that replaces the ghost. So what replaces a failed dream? Not another dream. A system. The 1% campus is not a better school. It's a refusal to play the same game. No tuition dependency. No seasonal illusion. No passive residence. Instead, output over optics. Production over promise. Revenue over narrative. A campus where learning is a byproduct of building something that pays. 6. Tulum is a test zone now. What happened here isn't isolated. It's a preview. Across Tulum, the pattern is repeating. Overbuilt shells. Underused land. Narrative fatigue. The question is no longer, can you sell the dream? It's, can your system survive without one? 7. The new rule. From this point forward, every project must answer. Where is the 1%? Where is the part that generates value, sustains the rest, keeps the system alive when attention disappears. If you can't point to it precisely, you are not building the future. You are decorating its collapse. 8. Pirate first means this. It means we stop asking permission from broken models. It means we don't mourn failed institutions. We consume them. Repurpose the land. Rewrite the function. Replace the illusion with a machine. The campus didn't die. It shed its skin. Final transmission. The Dreamcatcher is active now. Every idea you touch will be tested. Every narrative will be strained through reality. And only one question matters. Does it pay? Not just in money. In continuity. In resilience. In truth. Because the jungle is patient. And it has no use for dreams that don't survive the night. This is the 1% that builds the 99%. The rest is noise. "1% Campus. Adaptive Reuse Proposal, Tulum, Mexico." By Pirate First for MXTM. Executive Summary. The cancellation of the planned green school campus within Selvazama created a high visibility gap: prime land, sunk infrastructure, no productive anchor. This proposal converts that liability into a revenue-generating campus model. A self-sustaining system where 1% of output funds the other 99%. Not a school. A production-first campus that stabilizes land value while generating exportable income. The opportunity. Tulum's current development model shows structural weaknesses. Over-reliance on tourism cycles. Underutilized real estate assets. Failed or delayed anchor projects. Limited local economic integration. The solution. 1% Campus. A hybrid campus combining revenue-generating digital production, on-site fabrication and prototyping, residency-based workforce model, integrated learning through production system. Core principle. Education is not a cost center. It is a byproduct of value creation. Operating model. 1. Revenue core. AI-assisted content production. Media plus publishing pipelines. Remote service contracts, global clients. 2. Production layer. Digital plus physical prototyping. Small-scale fabrication. IP development. 3. Residency system. Operators, long-term. Contributors, mid-term. Apprentices, short-term, output-based. 4. Market interface. Export of digital goods/services. On-site experiences, secondary revenue. Local economic integration. Why this model works. Traditional school 1% campus tuition dependent output dependent fixed curriculum adaptive production cost center profits center seasonal use continue. Implementation strategy. Phase 1 activation 0 to 3 months. Deploy connectivity plus basic infrastructure. Install small core team 10 to 20 operators. Launch initial revenue streams. Phase 2 visibility 3 to 9 months. Build central hub plus shared facilities. Document operations, media output. Attract contributors plus partners. Phase 3 expansion 9 to 18 months. Scale housing plus production capacity. Integrate local workforce. Diversify revenue streams. Financial logic, high level. Low capex entry. Reuse existing foundations and site work. Modular build approach. Revenue drivers. Digital exports, primary. Residency programs. Licensing plus IP. Return profile. Early stage revenue within 90 days. Scalable without proportional infrastructure cost. Asset appreciation via stabilized utility. Risk and mitigation. Infrastructure volatility. Solar first, low dependency systems. Talent churn, nomads, core resident operators ensure continuity. Regulatory ambiguity. Hybrid structure, production plus residency, not formal schooling. Market shifts. Export focused, not tourism dependent. Strategic value for investors. Converts a failed narrative asset into a productive node. Stabilizes surrounding land value. Establishes a replicable model for similar developments. Positions early stakeholders in a new asset class. Income generating campuses. Ask. Seeking. Strategic partners, land, infrastructure, operations. Seed capital for Phase 1 activation. Local integration collaborators. Closing. This is not a speculative development. It is a correction. Tulum does not need more promises. It needs systems that produce. The 1% campus is designed to do exactly that. Pirate first for MXTM's newsletter. Systems over stories. To get more in-depth details of this analysis, consult the chat URL of the making of this article, chatgpt.com/share/690C06/494-838-A7-6F494A2442.
The 1%. A post-scarcity transition doctrine.
Gone bad.
A post-scarcity secession doctrine.
Thanks for reading MXTM's newsletter. Subscribe for free to receive new posts and to support my work with BTC. Send it to 1NPHXMPFCJVMXSBPQVRWLUC5BAKENFU6 or with fiat at paypal.me/MartinChartrand. Subscribe. The jungle remembers what the brochure forgot. A school was promised in Selvazama. It never opened. The land still waits. 2 weeks after the 1%, the signal is clear. If it doesn't produce, it disappears. The Dreamcatcher is active now. Every project passes through it. Most won't survive. What replaces a failed dream is not another dream, it's a system that pays. 1% builds the 99%.
Pirate First presents the 1% doctrine as an architectural and social response to the collapse of the cognitive pyramid. The 1%. A post-scarcity transition doctrine.
Percent. A school was promised in Selvazama. It vanished. The Dreamcatcher is active now, if it doesn't produce, it doesn't exist. Not a school. A revenue engine. 1% builds the 99%. Hashtag MXTM, hashtag Pirate First, hashtag 1%, hashtag Systems Over Stories, hashtag Dreamcatcher, hashtag Tulum, hashtag Selvazama, hashtag Future of Education, hashtag Post Scarcity, hashtag Regenerative Economy, hashtag Build Don't Sell, hashtag Real Value, hashtag Adaptive Reuse, hashtag Decentralized, hashtag Digital Nomads, hashtag Creator Economy, hashtag AI Production, hashtag New Infrastructure, hashtag From Dream to System, hashtag Economic Reality.
A hidden longevity civilization beneath the grand Mayan aquifer seeds, a successor species engineered for extreme worlds. On a hostile exoplanet, that species survives by abandoning fragile technology and building an analog, pressure-driven civilization, forcing humanity to confront a choice, evolve into new forms, or accept obsolescence. Super Earth Age of the Apes. A series by Pirate First for MXTM Flix production and distribution. They didn't leave Earth. They withdrew beneath it. Inside the